In an effort to keep small businesses who are battling to stay alive due to COVID-19, the Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership has launched a Small Businesses Need Us initiative. The program actually matches business professionals and experts with small business owners who are struggling to keep their businesses alive. The goal is to provide life support the businesses actually need, as well as the ultimate leads for them to thrive despite the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Small Business Need Us initiative matches experienced volunteers with small business owners based on a needs assessment. The volunteers are organized into cross-functional teams ready to render hands-on capacity building assistance to small business owners. And joining us to provide their point of view on this matter, I'm joined by the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership, Jill L. Johnson. And Jill, good to have you here on the Social Justice Forums.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for that introduction. You said a lot there.
Yeah, we did, but you could probably say it better. So why don't you give us a little bit more insight into your organization?
Yeah, thanks so much, Daren. So, essentially, this is about getting small businesses the hands-on support that they need. As we all know, our businesses have been suffering disproportionately. And what is the reason for that? Well, they were struggling before COVID. So the impact of COVID has really uncovered the disparities. It has uncovered the lack of resources that these businesses have faced for a long time. So what we're doing, Daren, is we are really trying to mobilize regular people who have tremendous skills and expertise to get involved. It's not just enough to sit on the sideline and say, oh, well, hopefully small businesses will recover. Small businesses are responsible for a lot of jobs. They're responsible for the thriving vibrancy of our communities. We need them to survive for so many reasons. And that's really what this initiative is all about.
Yeah. And as we know, small businesses are the lifeblood of America. We talk about big chains all you want to, but the reality is if it wasn't for small businesses, we would not have an American economy. So give us a little bit about how you're working with entrepreneurs really to help them navigate through this time. Because as you said, COVID-19 before, there was a challenge, but with COVID-19, that challenge becomes further exacerbated.
Absolutely. And so what it is, as I mentioned, that we're again involving and activating business professionals, people who have skills. They might be accountants or they do marketing work in their regular everyday job. Well, let's take some of that expertise and support small businesses with that expertise. A lot of focus has been on money, right? And getting the PPP and the EIDL loans and, grant money and things like that. Don't get me wrong, money is essential. And these businesses certainly need financial support. But in addition to that, just think about the fact that some of them have been running their business and doing what they do every day for years and years and years. And so trying to now pivot, trying to change direction, trying to figure out a new way of operating just isn't what some of them are equipped to do. And so we need people to help them do it. This is not just training. There's also a lot of training now, get trained to do something. As a business owner, you are juggling so many different things. We know that you need that these business owners need more than just training. They need people to get hands-on and help them to figure things out.
When we talk about giving them training and assistance, that's needed, but I want to talk about the Need Us initiative. That's an initiative that you have. Share with us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, it works. So businesses sign up. They'll go to the website. They will sign up through the application. We better understand what their needs are. We match them with the volunteers that we have as part of our community, these business experts. We match them and they get going to work together. It's as simple as that. This is not complicated. We know that business owners have been stressed out enough. So we wanted to make the process really easy. People sign up, they let us know what they need, we get them matched. Simple as that.
Yeah. And what are you hearing from business owners as far as what is the biggest need during this time right now?
I would say that there are two needs that rise above all others. One, outside of just the cash, is figuring out just the financial state of their business. We know that there are a lot of business owners who didn't even apply for the loans because they didn't have their financial house in order. That's really disturbing. So we have people who can help to do financial projections, who can help to figure out how much money do you even need to keep the business afloat. So that's one, really helping business owners get their financial house in order. The other thing is marketing. Many of these businesses are faced with having to find new customers. They're a new customer base, people outside of just those who before were in their neighborhood. So connecting with customers, figuring out new ways of reaching those customers, that's big too. So I would say those are the two big things. And then following that would be operations. How do you operate in this new world of COVID? What is it that you have to change? Maybe there are different things you have to take into consideration with your employees. So that's another big one.
Yeah. And so I want to also have an opportunity to talk about the women of color and the work that you're doing there. As we talk about entrepreneurship, we also talk about the fact that women of color are those who are probably on the forefront right now of trying to get a lot of things going. You're doing some great work with them as well. Talk to us about that.
So we launched several years ago an initiative called Women of Color Connecting. And the focus was on connecting women of color who have the potential to grow, scale, and exit with the champions, allies, and investors who support them. It's all about relationship building. We really believe that building relationships is at the heart of getting access to resources for business owners.
All right, well, walk me through this here right now as we talk about where we are as a society trying to navigate through COVID-19. How has it been for your organization in terms of staying in touch, staying connected, and helping businesses stay alive as a lot of us are forced to stay indoors?
Wow, that's a good question. We have been really, really busy because our focus is on helping small businesses and helping entrepreneurs and founders who are under-resourced and trying to get to the next level. So we have been extraordinarily busy. I will tell you that in some ways, we have been able to reach out to people more because there's no longer really the excuse of I'm traveling, I'm in between all of these different meetings. So we have actually found it easier to connect with people, especially volunteers, the people who we are recruiting as volunteers. They are no longer having the commute time that they had. So now people with having a little bit extra time, we're trying to get them to think about using that time in support of small businesses. So we are, of course, this is devastating for small businesses, but the environment has created one where I think we're able to actually get more people involved.
You spoke a little bit about the environment. Talk to me about this environment. Has this environment actually produced more entrepreneurs given the fact that people are actually staying at home?
Well, I would say it's producing more entrepreneurs, more small business owners and sole proprietors because jobs are going away. So I think that is the unfortunate byproduct. For some people, they will be able to make that work. For others, it's going to be very difficult to go from whatever job they had to now trying to make it on their own because it's just a whole different world. So it's tough.
Well, we're moving into the second phase of the PPP loans, and we know that that's not the solution for everything, right? It's a help. But what are you hearing from businesses that you're being connected to with regards to PPP?
Again, it's a help if you can get it. And then if you know what to do with it once you get it. There are some banks that are doing a lot of outreach. I would say that people need to not just apply blindly, but actually get connected with someone at the institution. There are CDFIs, community development financial institutions that are also, in addition to big banks, doing these PPP loans. In addition to applying though, and really even before you apply, you need to know how you are going to use that money to keep your business afloat and to turn your business around. There is no reason to take out loans if you haven't figured that out. All you're doing at that point is just getting yourself more and more in debt. So, getting that expertise, getting that help, if you don't know how to do that on your own, that is essential. And that is one of the things that we can help you to do.
Yeah. So for people who want to get more information in terms of the assistance that you offer and the services that you provide, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so we have our website. We're at the Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership, but we created a website just for the Bronx because we really want to make our resources available to Bronx small businesses. So people can look at growmybronxbiz.org. That's biz, B-I-Z, growmybronxbiz.org.
All righty. And as we talk about where we are right now, obviously we're in the middle of a snowstorm trying to navigate through that. But still, we still got a future ahead of us this first quarter. Talk to us about what do you see happening for you in the business going forward in this first quarter. I know it's hard to get out of the snow and think right now, but talk to us about the future.
Oh, I'm always thinking about the future. Snow, sun, sunshine, rain, doesn't matter. I think, for business owners, we are a nonprofit, so we're always thinking about how do we grow our impact? How do we get more resources to grow our impact more broadly? And we have some wonderful partners that are helping us to do that. I think for business owners, it's a time of reinvention. This is the time to think about doing things differently. Everyone's trying to figure this environment out. So if there's ever anything you want to change, now's the time to do it. And there's a lot of help and support to help you make those needed changes.
What can you give us in terms, Jill, of information with regards to some of the challenges that maybe we're not so connected to when we talk about entrepreneurs, small business? We know a lot of them are struggling right now, but give us a little bit more insight into maybe some of the things that we don't know that maybe the public should know.
Well, I think, one of the things that we keep talking about is government support for small businesses. And sure enough, government, small businesses need the support of the government at all levels. However, they also need the support of regular individuals, right? So not only through the way in which we're talking about volunteering expertise, but there may be a business that does need capital. There could be a few people from the community that get together and say, you know what, we have the resources, we can provide the funding for this community. One of the things that we want more people to think about is, as individuals, how do we each get involved personally to make a difference? How can we open a door for a business? If you're in charge of the holiday party for your office, think about how can you get a small business involved? How can you give them more business? That is what they all need. Again, government loans, all that, that's helpful and it's great, but nothing beats more customers. So they all need each of us to think about what is it that we're buying that we can buy from one of them? How can we amplify their voice and their message using our personal social media and things like that? We all bear a responsibility and we can all make a difference.
Yeah, yeah. Are you pleased with what you're hearing so far coming out of our, I don't want to be too political, but out of the present presidential administration with regards to the economic plan? Because a lot of businesses are saying, listen, this is a shot in the arm and possibly some optimism here.
Yeah, so no doubt that people are feeling very optimistic. It seems to me, just based on what I've heard thus far, that the administration is in earnest trying to figure out what is it that they can do for small businesses. So there are a lot of those conversations going on right now. I hope that we see this administration take a step further to really address the challenges that Black-owned businesses have, especially related to issues around access to capital, which is rooted in the legacy of slavery. And, that's a whole nother conversation. And I know we don't have time for all of that right now, but this is something that must be addressed because that was not, the issues and challenges that we still face while being rooted in the legacy of slavery, comes up to modern day and just a couple of decades ago, that the government was still implementing and instituting policies that kept Black people from being able to accumulate assets and build wealth, which severely impacts our ability to access capital to this very day. And I think that, if we're ever going to come together and heal as a country, we are going to have to address it.
Yeah, how do we break that? I mean, we only have a couple minutes left, but how do we really intentionally break that so that way we can see more businesses have that access to capital? Because we know that's the major barrier that most people talk about when it comes to businesses. It's life or death.
Yeah, and really the reality is that the majority of businesses are funded by personal savings, and that's personal savings that Black people do not have. Again, for all the reasons that we just discussed. I think that one, there has to be a recognition that this issue is actually not about diversity and inclusion. There are a lot of diversity efforts, and we have to get everyone involved, and we have to be inclusive. That's all great, but the issues that Black people face are separate and apart from broader DEI. So I think that there has to, one, just be that recognition, and then we have to seek to address those issues and resolve to make some sort of restitution separately.
Going forward, as we look, we're optimistic, hopefully, about the future economically, hopefully, optimistic for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Before we leave, just give me a quick opportunity for you to share, for those who are thinking about entrepreneurship, particularly at a time like this, what advice would you give?
One, there are great businesses that are created all the time during times of adversity. So really think about, what is it that people need? Where is there a void? Not just what it is you like to do, but where is there a need that you can fill in the market that people are willing to pay you to do? So it's as simple as that, really, but it's about being innovative, finding your audience, start small, test it out, spending as little money as possible, and get going.
Yeah, learning how to successfully pivot. I guess that's the way you can say it, right?
Learning how to pivot, but really, again, trying to identify what the market need is. Because if you're starting a business, if you're pivoting, you need to figure out and understand where the market is going so you can be there to make that money in helping people with that need.
Jill Johnson, thank you so much for being with us here on the Social Justice Forums, giving us some much needed information. Thank you much.
Thank you, Daren.
All righty. And guess what? We want you to stay with us. We still have more shows. The Social Justice Forums continues. We'll be back right after this.